Erica and Sharon are sisters who began their grief journey in 2006 when Erica's 10-year-old son Austin drowned. Together, they participated in a grief education program, were so moved by this experience, they studied and became specialists so they could help the brokenhearted find recovery. In 2015, tragedy struck their family once again when Erica's oldest son Donovan was killed in a motorcycle accident. Erica and Sharon are committed to sharing their experiences of love, loss, and healing through this podcast. Now your grief specialists, Sharon and Erica.
Welcome to Healing Starts with Heart, the podcast.
Yay! The show where it's all about you, the griever, and your broken heart. I'm here with my sister Erica, and we are live in the studio in LA.
Yes, it feels good to be live.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's a lot better to have the interaction, you know, right here, both of us, instead of me being on the phone.
And that way, if I want to punch you, you're right here.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'll have witnesses.
Thank you, Erica. Anyway, getting back to what we came here for.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Why are we here?
We're here because grievers may come to this show because their heart is absolutely broken and they don't know what to do with that pain. They may come because they feel their life is just not happy. They may come because they've never even used the word grief before.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to process the pain. And we teach people how to grieve.
We absolutely
And that's what
do.
we're doing here.
Yeah. We, you know, it's sad. It's really sad when you think about it. All of the people that we have met, and they tell you such terrible stories, and then they say, but I didn't know it was grief.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times I tell people, I go, oh, you know that book that you got on how to raise your children? Or, you know, it came right next to the book that said how to grieve. And they're like, no, I never got the book. Yeah, neither did we.
Right.
They don't give you that.
No, they don't. There's no manual. And in correlation with that, there's also no hierarchy of grief. There's not one thing that, it's like, it's not rated, okay, this is the worst grief you could experience if you have this. And then number 2 is this. That's not how grief goes. Grief is experienced by the griever at 100%, no matter what the cause.
100%,
Yes.
no matter what the loss, no matter what happens. And that's where I think we get all this confusion going in.
Correct.
Because one of the things we hear all the time, and please, Mama, if this is you, but so many people told Erica, you will never get over the loss of a child. And she never got over it. But her heart is healed.
I went
Am I speaking
through
for
it.
you?
I got through it.
Yeah.
With this process, I was able to take that pain, work through it. I mean, hard work, and I am much better for it. I am really still living a very enjoyable life.
You know that I often think about who would we be? It's unimaginable. Who would we be if we didn't have this?
Right.
I always feel like we would have managed a little bit through the Austin part. Like we would have eventually figured that out, or we would have stuffed it down so far. But you would be in a straitjacket if we didn't have this.
I was just thinking that I would be institutionalized
Yeah.
after Donovan, because that it nearly broke me. It took me some places that were so dark, I did not know if I could make it back.
I almost felt like, and I say this, is that I would have had to bury her in the grave with him.
Yeah.
It was almost like I needed to put you in that that hole with him.
I felt like I was dying. I did. I felt like I was dying.
Yeah. Parts of you did die that day.
Yes, absolutely. Parts of me did die that day.
But that doesn't mean we don't live.
No, it doesn't. And I was, after Austin, I was able to, not that I was able to recover a lot faster, but I was able to manage, I would say.
Yeah.
I was able to manage the grief in a, I would say maybe a healthier manner, because we were allowing ourselves to feel the feelings.
Yeah.
I was allowing myself to be in the moment, to cry when I wanted to cry, to say that Halloween was going to be hard because that last Halloween he had the best Halloween ever and he wore his Hellboy, and I was allowing the feelings to come and I was talking about them. The difference with Donovan I was not allowing myself to feel the feelings.
Right. So I just want to go back to Austin real quick before we move on. So one of the things you said, you were talking about them and you were feeling the feelings. One of those things was that I was calling you every day.
Yeah.
And that's no joke, no lie. Literally every day I was calling you on the phone. And I always said, where are you at today?
Right.
How's it going today? Sometimes we did small talk, but for the most part, we jumped right into where you were feeling.
Right.
And you got to share and talk about that.
And we would go back into parts of the story of what happened.
Yeah, we kept telling the story over and over again.
So we would get ourselves involved in that. And we would have a conversation, though, every day.
And the story, what we're talking about is, it always went back to, we would start with when I came to tell her Austin had, in fact, drowned.
Yeah.
And we would start telling that story over and over again. Grievers need to talk, but grievers need to be listened to and heard with respect. This part we did naturally. We just did it naturally. So I would call her every day, and then she would repeat the story. And that helped to blow off some of the steam.
Yeah.
It helped to get some of the steam off. And you were crying.
Yeah.
And you were in your feelings, which was great.
Yeah. And I think when you say let off some of the steam, but it was like, I think we thought at that time those conversations were what we were supposed to be having.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, we're talking about it. Like,
Yeah.
she's talking about it.
Yeah.
So she's getting better. She's going to feel better because we're talking about it. But we were kind of talking about the same thing.
But the other thing was that it does give you a release. It gives you a release for a few moments, but it only lasts for a short while.
Right.
Because if you don't release the pain, we know for a fact you will explode or implode.
Yeah.
And when you explode, you take it out on other people, and you implode, you take it out on yourself.
Correct.
Yeah. So imploding causes you to do terrible things to yourself.
Right.
Overeat, drink, sleep, isolate,
Cutting, people cut. Yeah.
smoking, biting
Yeah.
your nails.
Yep.
All kinds of things we do to ourselves. Taking medication we know we shouldn't be taking.
Right, right.
Terrible, terrible things. Suicide.
Yeah.
We can't take the pain anymore, so we just end it.
Exactly.
Okay. We also know that one of the first things that grievers will often do is one of three choices. They will reject, they will resist, or they will avoid. When you look these three up in the dictionary, you see the picture of Erica Honore there.
Well, specifically the resisting, I am the poster child for resistance. I did not want to feel any feelings after Donovan died. I didn't want to talk about it. Well, we talked about the circumstances that were happening around after he died, but I didn't want to talk about how I felt. I didn't want to talk about doing any grief work. I didn't want to talk about being recovered. I didn't want to talk about any of that.
One reason is because you were so mad.
I was mad.
You felt wronged.
A complete injustice.
Yeah.
A complete injustice. I guess in my mind, when I look back, I felt like I handled Austin's death very graciously.